and I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
Just sitting at work crying because my pronoun pins.
It is not marginalized people's responsibility to teach you how to treat us like human beings.
All right, guys, shield your eyes because it's time to react to some woke TikToks. And up first, we've got an interesting twist, something I don't encounter very often, and that is a woke Christian.
Just sitting at work crying because my pronoun pins made somebody feel uncomfortable that they would have to tell somebody their gender and somebody wouldn't just assume it. And then I had to defend myself and my faith, because how could I be a Christian and sell pronoun pins? And explained that the pronoun pins, like she, her. It's not because somebody might not know that you are she, her, but that you see the person and you believe in the person. I said I sell pronoun pins so that person who identifies as she, her, but may not feel safe in the dressing room because they were born with a penis, knows that I see them and they are safe here. It's not about you. It's about them, okay?
So for folks who are just listening, this woman is literally crying. She's like practically bawling while making this video, and that's my first issue. I don't really care if she wants to sell silly pronoun pins. I certainly wouldn't wear one, but whatever. But you lack the basic emotional resilience and functioning of an adult if somebody simply questioning you about why you're selling a particular item puts you into literal tears, a literal emotional breakdown that you post on the internet. Which, by the way, is a weird trend. Like, maybe you should talk to your therapist about this instead of TikTok. But for a grown adult to be reduced to tears over something like this, to me just shows how infantilizing and how fragile people in this movement can be. You're an advocate for a certain movement and a certain set of ideas, and yet you literally emotionally combust if somebody asks you to defend them or explain them. Since when is it a crime to ask somebody why they believe the things they believe or why they have a certain belief in accordance with their faith or not? Unless there's more to the story we don't know and they were somehow physically threatened or something, this level of emotional hysteria and reaction is just crazy. And I'll say, as far as the pronoun pins being meant to assuage the feelings or worries of somebody who identifies as a she, her, but has a penis, I don't get it. From my conversations with legitimate transsexual people, they want to pass as the other gender to the point where they don't need a pronoun pin. And also, I don't know what dressing rooms are like at her store, but I always thought they were solo stalls, right? And shouldn't really matter. Plus, I really just don't buy the idea that most trans people are so emotionally fragile they need everyone around them to wear pronoun pins or they'll somehow feel unwelcome or unsafe. I think most of them are functioning adults and will be just fine, actually. The shop owner, on the other hand... Up next, we've got a clip from Charles Barkley that went viral on TikTok. Take a look.
I got 3 cases of Bud Light. Hey, and I want to say this. If you're gay, bless you. If you're transgender, bless you. And if you have a problem with that,
wow, what a stunning and brave statement, Charles. Look, I like Charles Barkley on some things. He makes some good points sometimes, but this is just kind of cringe. I don't really care about the whole Bud Light boycott fiasco one way or another. I really don't have strong feelings on it, but I will say that to say, you know, bless you if you're gay or trans, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad you're being welcoming. But then to castigate anyone who has a problem with it and tell them to F off, it's just, I mean, that's not how you reach people. You don't reach out to somebody with a closed fist. You reach out to them with an open hand and try to make them understand that gay and trans people, for the most part, are just like anyone else. They're your neighbors, they're normal people, they've got jobs, they've got families, they have American values, and so you shouldn't hate them. You shouldn't discriminate against them. And if you do, hopefully we can help you understand why that's not the right path. You're not going to convince or convert anyone by cussing them out or telling them they're a terrible person. And I will say, Charles Barkley is a straight ally, and it constantly seems to me like they're the ones doing the most damage, the most harm. They're the ones out here with the most performative, cringe activism that's actually turning people off and hurting the movement, but hey, they get to virtue signal and get applause and show what a good ally they are. I actually think it's incredibly selfish, and they're simply cashing in on woke social currency, and they don't really care if they're actually helping acceptance or not. So I'm just asking allies like Charles Barkley to please just shut up. Just stop talking about this. You're not helping. Up next, we've got a TikTok of somebody pushing non-binary pronouns to young children through ventriloquy.
Hi everyone! Hi everyone! I'm Leslie, and my pronouns are they, them. And I'm Ray. My pronouns are also they, them. And what are we celebrating this week, Ray? It is Non-Binary Awareness Week! And what does that mean? Well, that means if you don't feel like a boy in your heart, or a girl in your heart, or if you feel like neither, or both, you are seen, you are loved, and you are supported no matter what. That's right. We love you for who you are, no matter what you might look like on the outside. We know who you are on the inside. And to all of our friends who might not be non-binary, how can we help them support our non-binary friends? Well, you can always make sure you're using the right pronouns because you want to respect your friends. Well, what if somebody accidentally calls me the wrong pronoun and you're with me? What would you do? Oh, I would simply say, oh, excuse me, I see that you said she, but Leslie goes by they. That simple. That respectful. That is love. That is what being non-binary is about. We love you. We see you. Mwah!
Anyone else just feel creeped out by that? Also, that was the worst ventriloquy I've ever seen. When you have one of the puppets like that, you're not supposed to move your lips. That's the whole point of the ventriloquy, is that, but for folks who are just listening, she's literally just moving her mouth like normal while moving the puppet. It's just terrible ventriloquy. At least commit to the bit. If you're gonna do it, commit to the bit. Look, this says that she's a preschool teacher, and obviously the ventriloquy with the big puppet is aimed at very young children. And I just think it's really unnecessary and weird to be introducing these strange gender concepts to such young children. Non-binary as a concept doesn't even make sense to most adults. What does it mean to feel like a boy or feel like a girl, or not feel like a boy or not feel like a girl? They've never been able to explain that to me without using gender stereotypes that really have nothing to do with your sex. So if so many adults don't even understand or accept this, how is a 4-year-old supposed to? You're just going to confuse kids, and it's just not age appropriate, and it's really going to turn people off and cause a lot of backlash to the LGBT community overall. Because a lot of good Americans who aren't bigots are going to find shit like this creepy and weird and want nothing to do with it. And the more you associate it with the LGBT community, the more harm you do to our actual acceptance and our actual rights. If you're an adult and you want to tell the world you're non-binary, I'm certainly not going to try to stop you. But please don't go confusing children who will never have heard of any of this, and they're so impressionable. The next week, you might have 3 of them come out as non-binary. I mean, it's just obvious that 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds, whatever, are very impressionable, and just putting these concepts in their mind is not going to go well. And for the rare youth that truly are gender dysphoric, they don't need it suggested. They know from a very young age that they feel trapped in the wrong body, and nobody ever had to educate them about it or inform them about it. It's just an intrinsic, rare mental condition that they've experienced since as long as they can remember in many cases. So you're not actually helping the transgender youth you think you're helping. You're just confusing young kids, alienating the public, and sabotaging LGBT acceptance. Other than that, great work. This next video isn't a TikTok, but it's one of the most demented things I've ever seen.
The first trans woman to have a successful uterus transplant, ovaries and eggs included. And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion. I will let a doctor who has successfully transplanted a uterine complex before cut the organs out of a willing, healthy, transmasculine donor, place them in my body. I will devote myself, heart and soul, to their aftercare. I will have as much gay sex as it takes, with as many trans women as it takes, and let the transphobes and homophobes scratch their heads, wondering what to make of it. And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
This is so demented, I really don't know where to begin. Y'all know I'm fine with trans adults living their life and getting sex treatments and reassignment surgeries and all that, and I'll even use their preferred pronouns. I also have good friends and family members who are on either side of the abortion debate, pro-choice and pro-life, and I don't weigh into it a lot, even though I lean more on the pro-life side, because I think it's really complicated, and there are emotionally fraught and compelling arguments on either side. I can understand why some women feel the need to preserve that as a last option, but one thing I can never understand is the weird people who celebrate abortion like it's some sort of fun or cute thing. Ultimately, you're talking about ending a human life, or at the very least, preventing one that would have become into existence, and you're acting like that's a cute aspect of womanhood you just can't wait to indulge in to trigger conservatives. When you find yourself this far gone, taking this kind of extreme rhetoric or position just to thumb your nose at the other side, that's a good sign that you've fallen into the grips of reverse polarization and tribalism, and that you're no longer actually thinking for yourself or doing what's right, but you're simply doing whatever you think will piss off the people you hate the most. It's not a logical or moral way to go through life. And crazy stuff like this not only hurts the trans cause, but it also hurts the pro-choice cause if that's something you support. And I want to be clear about the fact that basically every transsexual person I know would think that what I just showed you is crazy and would totally disavow it. These extreme people aren't actually representative of the trans community or the LGBT community at all, but they seem to put themselves out there and really go viral with these takes, so it's important to point that out, that their craziness is just, it's not, please, don't put it all on us. We do not endorse this. All right, for my last woke TikTok, I've got to react to this because it gets into one of the funniest paradoxes I see in left-wing thought. Take a listen.
It is not marginalized people's responsibility to teach you how to treat us like human beings. Weaponizing competence is a mighty tool, and it needs to be set down. You have the information at your fingertips. The person who has the privilege is the person who needs to be making the expense of time, of energy, emotional labor, resources, whatever it is. There is no excuse. And even if you're marginalized, you still need to examine all of those other layers, like an onion. Make sure that you are protecting the people in your community that are more marginalized than you, and who are affected by this system in ways that you aren't. We all have a collective responsibility to each other. And part of that is taking accountability and ownership for our own learning and not forcing it onto other people.
I'm so glad that the mainstream LGBT community threw me out a long time ago and I'm not trying to be in their good graces, because my God, it must be exhausting trying to keep up. So folks like this simultaneously say that minor verbal tics are microaggressions that cause harm to marginalized people, but that also it's not their responsibility to educate you or explain to you what exactly is offensive or you are or not allowed to do. So even a well-meaning ally is left to essentially guess and try to figure it out on their own. And if they get something wrong, they'll be canceled, but also it's not on these people to explain what they actually want and how they want to be treated. It really seems to me you can't have it both ways, at least if you're a serious person or want people to take your demands seriously. But that, of course, doesn't apply to this particular woke TikToker, nor to most of the community pushing this kind of thing in the first place. They would be so much more compelling if they just said, hey, everyone makes mistakes sometimes, but I actually go by this instead of that. It would mean a lot to me if you would respect that and call me that. But instead, they'll attack you as a bigot, they'll try to cancel you, they'll complain to your boss or whatever, and then they'll try to get mad at you for something they also didn't even tell you, because it's not my job to educate you. Also, anytime I hear these people talking about privilege, I just roll my eyes, because the true reality of life and who's privileged and who's not is so complicated and has so many layers. But these people always just reduce it to 1 or 2 boxes on the census. Are they white? Are they not? Are they male? Are they not? And then act as if you can therefore determine whether someone's a privileged person or not in life, when it's just so much more complicated than that. Hard pass to all of this. It's cringe. It's just, no, thank you.